Sonny Styles' growing confidence has him playing faster and flying to the football.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Feel Good Friday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, veteran sports talk host, delivering passionate coverage about your Buckeyes. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. During today's show, we will discuss what makes James Laurinaitis a great linebackers coach, as well as a three-step process for every Ohio State linebacker. But first, it's hard to believe that Sonny Styles is entering year 4 in Columbus, which is his final year that he can play college football. I remember looking back to when he reclassified and came to Ohio State as a 17-year-old, and now he is about to lead the Buckeyes defense in what should be a very special season. And while he is leading the Buckeyes defense, he is doing a lot of things in the film room that are showing up on the practice field, which will be scary for the opposition in a few weeks, because Sonny Styles has another gear to play, another gear that he can touch, and that gear is a faster gear. He's comfortable in it. He's being more confident on the field, and that combination is going to be great for the Buckeyes defense, because like I mentioned yesterday, the Airedales got a great glimpse about what Buckeyes football is all about, and a position on defense that the Buckeyes are known for. That's linebackers. Yeah, you can look at the front four, you can look at the secondary, but throughout decades of Buckeye football, the linebackers have dominated, and you run your defense through the LBs. And there's nobody else that I would want to run the defense through as far as being the leader in that room than Sonny Styles. He was second on the team in tackles last year, third on the team in TFLs, fourth on the team in sacks. I would say he's going to be top 3 in all those categories this year. Wouldn't shock me if he's a leading tackle man for the Buckeyes. That's the team that has Arvell Reese and Caleb Downs on it. And that's how good Sonny Styles is. His growing confidence has him playing faster. And that next gear, say he's in 4th gear now, and now he's about to go to 5th gear. Texas, you better watch out. Penn State, you better watch out. Michigan, y'all know what this man can do, because Sonny Styles is a freak athlete. He was number 10 in Bruce Feldman's freak list this year, and it wouldn't have shocked me if there were more Ohio State players on that list. But you want every player on defense, really every player on the field, to play fast, to play free, to not double or triple think, but to see, read, react, and go. And Sonny Styles is able to do that. He's more comfortable playing linebacker. Remember, when he came to Ohio State, it was like, hey, is he a linebacker? Is he a safety? He played 1 full year at safety. Then he got to be a full-time linebacker, and they were trying to figure out which position he was going to be. Would it be the Mike? Would it be the Will? They settled on the Will. He's there once again, a second year at the same position, but there's no back and forth trying to learn multiple spots. No, you're stuck in one. And being stuck in one, while his confidence is growing, he could be in 5th gear all season long. And if I'm James Laurinaitis or even Matt Patricia, this is a young man that I want to lean on when times get tough. This is a young man that I want to lean on in those film rooms. This is somebody that I want to tap into off the field and say, hey, so-and-so needs a little bit of help. They're not able to pick it up like you are. You've been around the block for a while. You are more mature as a 17-year-old, knowing, hey, this is a better route for me to get to the NFL a little bit quicker. Help him out. And that's the kind of leader that Sonny Styles is, which is why, to me, he's the ideal candidate for the Block O jersey, because Ohio State's never had a player that has more years of eligibility left to play after that 1 year that they got the Block O to get it. No. You are in your final year of eligibility, and then those are the candidates, to me, that Ryan Day's looking at. We're trying to figure out who's going to wear the Block O jersey. Kenyatta Jackson Jr.'s name has been floated around a little bit. He's a worthy candidate, but there's no one else. I think speaking about the adversity, the determination, the perseverance, the grit, all of those things that it means to be a Buckeye, Sonny Styles is just that. And here's Sonny Styles on some of the growth he's had this offseason and why he's feeling more comfortable being a linebacker. Quote, I feel like I'm reacting faster right now, playing faster. I think it's showing up on tape. You can see me flying around the field. It just comes with more reps, more confidence, end quote. And he's correct. When you are more confident and when you're playing faster, you tend to play freer, and it shows up in a big way on the film because he's being coached by a guy in Laurinaitis that knows what it takes to be great. A three-time consensus All-American. He was a phenomenal leader for the Buckeyes. I believe he was on both of the national championship appearing teams that Tressel had that didn't win the Natty. Laurinaitis gets it, man. And when Laurinaitis gets it, he's figuring out the right buttons to push for every single player. But for Styles, you don't have to push the 101 button or the secondary button or the third button. We're back in school, first, second, third grade. We're not trying to push those buttons. No, you can go all the way up to the senior level or even graduate level with Sonny Styles because he understands the nuances of the game. He gets his position. He knows how to lead others. He knows how to be a great communicator on the field. Why? Because of his experience. Him being comfortable simply playing that linebacker spot, because once you figure out where you're going to play and where you're best at for this team and for your future, you can let some of the anxiety and some of the stress roll off of your shoulders because you're realizing I ain't got to worry about where I'm going to be tomorrow or where I'm going to be a week from now. All I got to worry about is where I am right now. Where I am right now is where I'm going to be for the foreseeable future, and I can just hone in on my craft and grind and work every day. This linebacker room is very, very special. We touched on this yesterday, but I want to do it again because Sonny Styles is going to get a lot of attention, and Arvell Reese is going to get a lot of attention. Reese may get a lot more over the next couple of weeks up until the kickoff of the Week 1 game against Texas. But up and down this list of the players in this room, guys that are physically gifted and ready to play, guys that get it up here in the head, that mentality to be a linebacker. They got the screws loose that need to be loose. And I'm not a person that says, hey, you need a couple knuckleheads on a team, but I do believe, especially to play defense, but you got to have a few screws loose because you're literally going out there and sometimes you're being a battering ram over and over and over again. You're flying around. You don't know what the offense is doing. The offense is very structured. Hey, we're running counter to the right. The center knows what his role is. The fullback, there's a fullback on the field. He knows his steps. He knows his cadence. He knows where his hand placement needs to be. The quarterback knows all the footwork has to be on point. We're on defense, you're literally reacting. And if your instincts are off, if you're not aligned correctly, if you don't know your own assignment, you are going to fall. You are going to be a hot mess on the field. But this goes back into why Sonny Styles is being more comfortable playing a linebacker. He understands where he needs to align. He understands his own process and the process Laurinaitis has for the players at Ohio State that are playing linebacker. He not only understands it mentally, he has been out there. Remember last year, there were numerous times that Sonny Styles was caught flat-footed. They realized that there were some areas in screenplay or quick throws over the middle where sometimes Sonny Styles was a little slow to react because he was thinking and he got flat-footed and the opposing quarterback realized he can't get there. Maybe he might be fast enough, but he's not quick enough on his feet. He's thinking way too much on the field, and it leads to disaster. I remember one play against Texas. I think it was a second touchdown where they toyed with Sonny Styles, threw the ball right where he should have been. He wasn't there. Texas goes in and scores a touchdown. A year ago, I talked to a high school coach. I wanted to close up shop, at least on this segment, with this very thought because I talked to a high school coach after a game. They had a starting quarterback who was a sophomore that was struggling. He was struggling to move the ball, thinking way too much, and he had a tendency to get rattled a little bit, and some of the older players tried to pick him up and keep his spirits high. Well, this young man almost had a fumble on one drive. The very next drive, he threw an interception. Then the drive after the interception, the coach realized, hey, he's thinking too much. The coach went to a quick up-tempo offense, alleviated all the thinking, and what did you find? In this game, this quarterback led a phenomenal run. I think they scored 28 unanswered points and blew out the opposition. Well, what was the key factor? He wasn't thinking. He was playing free. He was playing fast. And when Styles is out there playing free and playing fast, it's what the Buckeyes need and desire from every linebacker that wears a scarlet and gray. But also it's going to be a nice weapon for Patricia to utilize this year. James Laurinaitis has a lot of weapons in his room as linebackers, but he also has a unique process that he wants every person in this room to follow. And that process is one that if you follow it to a T, you will be successful. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. Whether I'm placing a same game parlay or watching a bet ride into the ninth inning, FanDuel makes it feel like I'm part of the action. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. Thank you all for tapping Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. The Everydayers got a little glimpse of a challenge that we are challenging every listener and viewer of the show with because we are very, very close. We're getting closer and closer to hitting the 5,000 subscriber mark on the YouTube. If you are not already subscribed to Locked on Buckeyes, subscribe to the show. Hit the notification button so you get alerted every time a new show goes live because there will be at least one show going out this weekend. We're going to average about 6 shows a week from now all the way through the end of the season because there's going to be a lot to talk about with Buckeye football. The season's coming up. There's going to be basketball coming up soon. You don't want to miss a beat. Oh, yeah, if you're an audio podcast listener, you can still subscribe on the YouTube. It is free. Hit that notification button so you also get alerted when a new show goes live. Speaking of going live, you can tell when things go live in practice because the thuds, you can hear them from a mile away. The coaches are yelling a little bit louder. The whistle is so loud it pierces your eardrum. I mean, there's so many different things that you know when practice goes live, those pads goes on, and those boys start hitting. Well, when they start hitting, the linebackers are ones that are trying to fly around and get the running back and to make sure you feel them when they get there. Well, there's a process that Laurinaitis has for every linebacker, especially when things go live, so that while they are in pursuit of the ball carrier, while it may be a running back, they are doing all of the steps that Laurinaitis has lined out for everybody that plays linebacker for the Buckeyes. And these 3 steps make a whole lot of sense because it's not just something that's coming from James Laurinaitis. This is something he did over and over and over again, not only at Ohio State, but also in the National Football League. He was a pretty good professional linebacker, too. The 3 steps are this. Question number 1, where do I align? Question number 2, what's my assignment? Question number 3, what's my adjustment if things change? And when you know all 3 of those, if you're not aligned correctly, you can just forget the other 2. If you're aligned correctly, you got to make sure you know your assignment. And then once you know your assignment, what's your adjustment? Because you can't dictate what the opposition does. You wish you could. You wish it was you and your buddy playing EA Sports College Football 26, and you're playing in the same room. You can see the plays he's picking, and he can see yours. But you're able to predict and guess based off how familiar you are with your friend what play he is picking. And while you are doing that, what are you finding? You're finding that, well, I know the assignment already because I know the play. I know the adjustment because I also know the play. This ain't that. This is real life. And this is not what they were doing in Ann Arbor, stealing signs illegally. This ain't that at all. What this is a coach showing everybody, while you don't know what the offense is doing, you have a really good idea about what you need to do. No, not really good idea. You know 100% without a doubt what you need to do. And while you know that, you can look up and say, where do I align? When they roll out, where do you go? Okay, cool. You got that done. Check that box. What's my assignment? Now, once I'm aligned correctly, I got to make sure I know what my assignment is. Cool, I got that part. And then the adjustment is something you have to understand and expect because adjustments are going to be made not only in the timeout or at halftime, they're going to happen in a play as well. We are used to seeing Caleb Downs roam the defense and point guys out and be a great communicator, which is a big reason why the post-Oregon part of the season, Oregon lost that is, was so much fun, except for one game, because Caleb Downs had a different role. He shifted, he moved around a little bit, and his communication skills were on point all season long. And Laurinaitis is on to something here. If you can do these 3 steps, this goes for any level of football. Maybe you're a youngster playing 5th grade football. You played only for a couple of years. It's your first year playing linebacker. You don't have to know every single detail of ball like Styles does just for Ohio State and Arvell Reese and Peyton Pierce and Garrett Stover and Eli Lee and all the other guys. You don't have to know every piece. You don't have to know it at all. What you have to know is simply, what is my coach asking me to do on this play? This is where I align. Okay, great. You got that part. What's your assignment? Okay, on this play, this is my assignment. Cool. You're checking that box. What's my adjustment? Where there really is no adjustment, because in Little League football, you're probably not going to audible. They're probably not going to shift. They're doing some things that are very elementary and basic, because that is where you learn how to play football. So even for a youngster, is there an adjustment? No, there's no adjustment. So all I have to do is align correctly and know my assignment, snap the ball, you go. That's it. Now, it sounds very easy when I say it that way correctly. Of course it does. Because when I say it correctly, someone that's in the 5th grade can say, oh, okay, listen to the coach. He'll tell me where to go, where to put my feet, and where to go, what my assignment is. What my expectations are for Ohio State's linebackers this year is to turn back the clock. Did it a lot last year, a lot. I really enjoyed Cody Simon and Styles and Reese playing linebacker. They were a lot of fun. Cody Simon was almost like a breath of fresh air watching him play, because remember, we went from, it was, now if you even take, I'm taking away Malik Harrison, the 2019 year, because that's a little, I'm focusing on the guys that were prime, but Malik Harrison was kind of a little flashback, going back in time. Haven't said that name in a while. But the tough Borland to Tommy Eichenberg to Cody Simon to now Arvell Reese being the Mike linebackers, that's a great upward trajectory. It's going to be great for the Buckeyes moving forward. Think about your favorite Ohio State football team. And maybe last year's was your favorite. I don't know. But whatever your favorite Ohio State football team is, you can look at that team and say, oh, they got a linebacker that's a dude. 100%. And what makes him a dude? They follow these 3 steps. While it's easy to understand and to grasp, it is very, very difficult to do on the field, which is why when Sonny Styles is talking about his growing confidence and playing faster on the football field, while all of those things are true and those are things that he is dealing with right now, that confidence and being able to play faster is huge, because he's understanding all 3 of these things. Where to align, where it's his assignment, what his adjustment is. I didn't realize that was alliterated when Laurinaitis said that during his presser a couple of days ago. But alliteration I like. I literally just circled it on my paper, and I was like, oh, wait. That's alliterated. That's my kind of man. But no, you need to play fast. And understanding these 3 things at the back of your hand will help you play fast and will help you play free. And so my hope is for the Buckeyes 4-2-5 base defense that could easily be a 4-3 at times, depending on the opponent. All 3 guys, Styles, Reese, and Pierce, understand these 3 things. Align correctly, know your assignment, and know your adjustments, and things will be just fine for the Buckeyes defense this year. It's going to be fine for the Buckeyes defense this year, especially the linebacker room, because James Laurinaitis not only leads a very talented room, but he also gets it. Thank you all for tapping and Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. So that segue was a little bit different in regards to James Laurinaitis getting it. People may have been wondering, Jay, what are you talking about? What does he get? He gets it. Throughout the history of sports, you can look out there and you can see certain players or certain coaches and simply say, that guy gets it. Now, sometimes the players that get it aren't the most talented or they aren't the most successful coaches, but you realize there are certain things that they get. And with it, when it comes to Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese and Caleb Downs, you can look out there and say they get what it means to be a Buckeye, and they understand what it means to be great on the field, but they also get it. The intangibles, the nuances, the things that are very, the details in regards to things, they get it. And James Laurinaitis gets it. He understands what it means to be a coach. He understands what it means to be a great linebacker, and he knows how to teach it. There are some people that have the accolades like Laurinaitis does that aren't able to teach it or to coach it. They're not able to. They don't figure out, they don't understand how to take what they know and their own experiences playing football and to teach someone else the same thing that they used to do. It's very difficult. It's very, very hard. Think about it. You and your job, I don't know what your job is, but you and your job, you have responsibility to maybe as a manager to hire certain people, to train certain people, to keep people up to speed with the changes in the company. And while those are your roles, sometimes you find it very, very, very difficult to transfer that knowledge and the information that you know to someone else. It's not saying you're bad at what you're doing as far as being the manager of your job. It's you got to try something else. You got to try a different tactic to get that point across. Well, Laurinaitis is a great college football linebacker, should be a Hall of Famer. He was a really, really, really good NFL linebacker. And you know what? He has figured out, similar to Hartline, how to take what he knows and what he did, and then also to be able to not only coach the guys in his room, but to identify talent at a younger age, which is so, so difficult. It's easy to look out there and say, oh, that guy's a 5-star. What about a 3-star? What about a low 4-star, according to some recruiting databases? How do you look at someone like that when the national recruiting people are saying this is what he's going to be, but your eyes say no, he's going to be something different? And while he is going to be something different, you realize, man, I got to trust my eyes. I got to trust my instincts because those things will help me find the right people for this role. And for Laurinaitis to be such a young coach, it is a breath of fresh air to hear him discuss things and to hear him talk and to just display the way his brain works. Now, Hartline, I viewed that comparison earlier. It's a little bit different because Hartline was a really good receiver at Ohio State, played multiple years in the NFL, played for the Dolphins. He was really, really good, but he wasn't Laurinaitis. Hartline wasn't a 3-time consensus All-American. No. He wasn't a leading tackler a couple years, a leader in some category. No. He was just a really good dude. And you need those guys. I think about Steve Kerr. I don't know why his name popped into my head, but I think about Steve Kerr when he was working with the Suns and broadcasting for TNT. And then I believe after that, he went to the Golden State Warriors to be the head coach. And you would look at Steve Kerr's NBA career and say, Steve Kerr, sir, you were a career backup. You were a 3-point specialist and a really good one at that. But you didn't have the ability to lead and create a really good offense in the NBA because you were behind guys like a Ron Harper who transformed his own body and his own career after having knee injuries and having to not have the same athleticism that he had in his younger years. When Ron Harper went to the Bulls, Ron Harper became a point guard, a 6'6" point guard at that. Steve Kerr came off the bench. And what did you find? Kerr found his role. He fit in with it. But while he wasn't a great NBA point guard, Steve Kerr found a way to be a great NBA head coach. You could say he worked off of Mark Jackson. Great. But to do that over and over and over takes a lot of skill. There are people out there that have had a lot of talent on the team that didn't even get to the NBA Finals. Think about the Clippers. The Clippers had a lot of talent. Didn't get there. Now, was it Kawhi's injury? I don't want to go that far, but that's a question you could ask. For Laurinaitis, him being able to, one, look at a youngster and say, that guy's going to be great. Or that guy has the ability to be great. Not that he's going to be. He has the ability. He has the skill set that I want. To know, to talk to him and know that he has the mindset and the grit and perseverance to be a Buckeye linebacker. Then to get him on campus, to work with him for a little bit, and then use Arvell Reese, for example. Was this year 3 for Arvell Reese? And you're like, oh, no. This guy's about to put it all together right now. Laurinaitis could very well be the next defensive coordinator at Ohio State. I know one person said they expect him to be the next Ohio State head coach. I wouldn't be mad about that. I'm not going to go that far. I'm going to make a prediction that's more immediate and on the short term. While he is a young coach that has climbed up the coaching ranks very, very quickly, it would not shock me if Patricia stays for 1 year or two and he is gone. It wouldn't shock me at all if Laurinaitis was the person to replace Patricia as the Buckeyes defensive coordinator. He just gets it, man. He gets it. Would it shock me if he became Ohio State's next head coach? No. Could that be something that comes in 2035? Yes. 100% it could be. And I can see Laurinaitis staying in Columbus. His family is there. His family's been there for a very long time. I don't know when he retired from the NFL, but I know he was hosting a radio show there in Columbus, Ohio on 97.1 The Fan. I believe it was 97.1 The Fan. And he ended up leaving the broadcasting booth for the Big Ten Network, going to be a GA at a couple places, one being Notre Dame, one at Ohio State. He got promoted to being the full-time linebackers coach, and his path to where he is currently sped up very, very quickly. But it wasn't too much for him. He is not overwhelmed. He is not going home and wondering, man, how did I get here? Well, he may be asking, how did I get here? But why are these guys not getting it? No, he's working, grinding every single day. I would be on board, and I think you would as well, with Laurinaitis being the next defensive coordinator. I ain't trying to kick him out. Trust me, I am not trying to kick Patricia out before he coaches the game. I would hope Patricia stays at Ohio State throughout the rest of his coaching career until he retires. I know that's probably not going to happen. He's probably going to be at Ohio State for a little bit, maybe a cup of coffee, and then go back to the National Football League. And I don't blame him, especially when Chip Kelly just went back to the NFL to be the offensive coordinator, and his salary was tripled from $2 million a year to $6 million a year to have the same role with the Las Vegas Raiders. That's a no-brainer. 100%. Now, you don't lose it in taxes, but still, if you go from making $2 million to $6 million, you ain't worried about them taxes. No. What you worried about? The dollars and cents. Because if you don't make no dollar, it ain't gonna make no sense. But this one definitely made a lot of dollars. It definitely made a whole lot of sense. James Laurinaitis, to me, is a great coach. A great young coach. A coach that I could see being a college football coach, at coordinator, or a head coach till he's in his mid to late 70s. He has that kind of makeup. Maybe he decides to step away. And when his kids get to a certain age, say, no, I need to go back home. And maybe that's what he decides to do. But he sounds like somebody that's all in, that's not going anywhere, that's not wavering on the task at hand to lead the Buckeyes linebacker room. And the way he speaks about these young men, from the oldest is Sonny Styles. I had to stop a little bit because I realized he ain't 21 yet, to the youngest, those incoming freshmen. He has figured out how to tap into their potential early. He has helped them be all in and to buy into what Mickey Mariotti is throwing at them to help them be physically ready for battle. And moving forward for Ohio State, I think it's Laurinaitis. Let him flourish. Let him rock. There's a reason why Matt Patricia has given James Laurinaitis the full control over the rotation. It's not because Patricia wants one more thing off his plate. It's because he has full trust in Laurinaitis as the Buckeyes linebackers coach to make sure he puts the right guys on the field. Quick question before we close up shop. I was thinking about this recently in regards to the linebackers and James Laurinaitis getting it. He over and over and over has pounded the table for certain players to be in his room. Arvell Reese, flirt between being on the edge and being a linebacker. No. Pound the table. He's in the LB room. Sonny Styles. Is he a safety? Is he a linebacker? He had a full year starting as safety. Oh, no, he's a linebacker. Pound the table to get him in that room. And then Peyton Pierce was going to go to Notre Dame. And then when Laurinaitis came to Ohio State, Laurinaitis said one of the first calls he made was to Peyton Pierce and to pound the table to get him to stay there. He loves these guys. He is all about these guys. But when there are three guys like that on one team, in Styles and Reese and Pierce, to get them at Ohio State is great. Would you be comfortable with Ohio State having three starting linebackers that are viewed as starters? Would you be comfortable with Ohio State running a little bit more 4-3 than normal then instead of the traditional 4-2-5. I mean, Styles is not a guy that can cover the slot receiver. No. But I think the versatility that this team has is one where you could see some more defensive flexibility and see a little bit more 4-3, especially in non-obvious passing situations where you can see all three guys on the field, and that will definitely inflict fear in the opposing quarterback's eyes. Thank y'all for tapping Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. For your second listen, check out the portal because my guy, Brian Smith, he has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. He's also going to help you be the most informed fan on the college football landscape. If you want the recruiting news, Brian is your guy. You can follow Locked on Buckeyes and the portal on the YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow me on any social media platform at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. This has been Locked on Buckeyes on a Feel Good Friday. We'll see you next time.